Thanks for tuning in to Men for the Win, a podcast hosted by David Kufis and Dan Thompson, with special guest appearances from Andrew Hoags Hoganson. Three avid fans who appreciate well-played baseball, especially when it's done by the Minnesota Twins. Men for the Win is sponsored by the Grand Group with Edina Realty. Are you looking to purchase a new home in the Twin Cities area? Or perhaps you're trying to sell your current home? The Grand Group with Edina Realty will meet all of your housing needs. Contact the Grand Group by emailing thegran, G-R-A-N, group at edinarealty.com or call them by phone at 612-817. Men for the Win is part of the Pull Tab Sports Network, covering sports, culture, and entertainment across the Midwest. Check them out at pulltabsports.com and give them a follow on all your social media platforms at Pull Tab Sports. On this episode, David and Dan recap the Twins' 4-game series against the Detroit Tigers. Thanks for listening. Enjoy. Thanks for tuning in to Men for the Win. My name is David Kufis. With me, as always, is Dan Thompson. Dan, we're talking about a series that I simply cannot believe. The Twins sweep a 4-game series against the Detroit Tigers, who I would say many people have as the favorites to sweep the division easily here, with Skubal leading the charge. Turns out, Dan, we've got the aces. We've got the aces, Dan. No Detroit Tigers. The Minnesota Twins are aces, top to bottom in this rotation.
The tables have turned, I think, or something like that. It was really remarkable because they looked like a good baseball team, actually. They pitched well. They hit well. They hit well in times when they needed to. Now, they don't have a closer. They don't seemingly know who's in the bullpen. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But it was certainly encouraging, and they are over 500. Thought we would never see the Twins over 500 this season after the first game. So here they are, 7-6,
second place. Have you no joy in your life? Is there no song in your heart?
Not for Hoags, apparently. The hills are not alive for Hoags with the sound of fun.
Okay, Dan. So you mentioned that we don't know who's in the bullpen, and there's some guys in the lineup we don't know that well. So the Twins tried something. Twins TV on Monday night. They did this whole Monday Night Football or Sunday Night Football style introduction with the Twins players saying like their college or their high school with drone footage going through the stadium. And okay, some people thought it was cringe. I loved it, Dan. I was there for it, man. Let me tell you.
I don't think it was cringy. I think it was fine. I think it was a little gimmicky. The part of it that I didn't like was like the heads like nodding up, like, oh, look, oh, there's a camera there. Like, just cut the time. Just say it into the camera. They don't do like the head up anymore. Like, oh my gosh, there's a camera in front of me.
I'm very surprised. What's happening?
Like a moose in a headlights, right? You can play the sounder for that.
I can do that.
Yes, but a very cute moose. Make all the boy moose go.
All right, Dan, there is a lot to talk about here. We got 4 games to get through, so let's go ahead and jump right into the series recap.
Freeze recap.
Game 1, the Twins win this 7-3. Right off the bat, things go, well, decently well. So they load the bases with one out in the second, but they fail to score a run. But then they bounce back and they score 3 times in the third. A sac fly by Caratini, then 2-out singles by Wallner and Lewis. So it's 3-0. Twins played with the lead almost the entire series here. So that obviously makes it a whole lot easier to win. At top of the fourth, though, it doesn't take long for the Tigers to tie it. McGonagall, which just makes me think of Harry Potter every time, reaches on a Brooks Lee error. Every time.
every time he came, I told my wife that because we've been big Harry Potter people for a long time, and she goes, McGonagall. Okay, sorry, this is off topic, but I have to say it. So you were a big Downton Abbey guy, right, Dan?
Can any man say he was a big Downton Abbey guy? I watched the first season. What do you mean if anybody could?
You know exactly what I mean, Dan.
So now you think you're better than me.
Okay, the upstairs downstairs thing is a compelling narrative structure, right? I get that, right? But that's not. I wasn't a big Downton Abbey guy.
Kyle.
Okay, let's just settle down here. So the reason I say this is because every time that actor Maggie, whatever her name is, came on when
Maggie
my wife
Smith,
was watching Downton, I'd always go McGonagall every time. And so now every time McGonagall came up to bat for the Tigers, my wife would go McGonagall.
Anyway, to the baseball. So McGonagall, a professor, reaches on a Brooks Lee error to start the rally. McKinstry hits a 2-run single to tie, so it's 3-3. But then in the bottom of the fourth, after a 2-out single by Larnach, Keishel homers into a nearly empty left field. David, I know you like to sit in the left field seats. You could have clambered over nobody. Like you would have gotten that baseball almost guaranteed, David.
Well, maybe there was a fan there though, Dan. I would have had to literally tackle the guy who it was hit right to. It was so funny too, the way he caught it and then he just fell backwards in his seat. It's not like he leapt for the ball and then fell over. It was like he legitimately, the power of the ball knocked him back into his seat, Dan.
Well, it's very hard to catch a baseball in the outfield. Anyway, you're right. You wouldn't have actually gotten that one, but you could have if it had been hit anywhere else in that left field. Joe Ryan finishes the 5th inning here. He wasn't awesome, but he does only give up 3 hits, 3 runs, a couple of them earned, 3 walks, 7 strikeouts, gets the win. And then the bullpen, such as they are, Banda, Orsi, Funderburk, and Larson, handle the other 4 without allowing a run. But a couple of the moments here, David, that were interesting at least.
Yeah, so top of the 8th, the Tigers have 2 on, no out. There's a wild pitch by Funderburk, but it bounces off the limestone just perfectly back to Caratini, who then catches Spencer Torkelson in a rundown. And the thing is, there's every once in a while, there's some lucky bounces at Target Field. But all I could think about is, remember the replay that we've all seen 1,000 times where Mauer catches the ball behind his back? Like, that's sort of how it looked, way less graceful and way less, like, nonchalant, because Caratini was like, where's the ball? Where's the ball? Where's the ball? But it was still a super fun play to watch again, and my goodness, was that important for the Twins to get that guy off first base.
Well, for sure, yeah. So anyway, and then in the bottom of the 8th, the Twins load the bases with 1 out. After Clemens K, Carantini singles on an 0-2 pitch with 7-3, and that was big to give him a little bit of buffer there. Cody Larson, I really struggle to say his name, gets the first save of his career because he got a couple outs in the 8th and then all of them in the 9th, and the 9th ones are quick work.
Do you think, had I given you a list of pitchers who might get a save for the Twins, do you think Lawyerson, was he going to be on the list here that you would have written?
No, of course, none of these. I mean, Funderburk, yes. We'll get some more here because there was, 3 different guys made saves in this series?
It doesn't even matter. It's amazing. Okay, let's go on game 2 here. Twins win this one 4-2. We had projected a pitcher's duel, Dan. And then we sort of got it, only from the Twins side, though. It was shocking. So the Twins get to Schuylkill. They score all 4 runs in the bottom of the 5th inning. Brooke Lee leads off the inning with an ill-advised bunt, which I don't know what he's doing here. But he hit himself in the face with the bat as he was bunting. It was very confusing. And so he grounds out, but then Buxton and Martin both walk. Keishel hits an RBI single scoring Buxton, and then Jeffers hits an RBI double that scores Martin and Keishel. And Keishel, dude, I love watching that guy run. He's so fast, Dan.
I have magic hair that glows when I sing.
Meanwhile, Taj Bradley threw a gem. 6, again, out-dueling Scoobel, 6 1/3, 6 hits, 1 earned run, 10 Ks. There's nothing like out-pitching a Cy Young player like Turk Scoobel. There was a little trouble in the 2nd when he loaded the bases, but he escaped without giving up a run. And then as we continue to list them off, this time it's Rogers, Sands, Orsi, and Topa to finish out the game. Couple base runners, but they do enough. And so the Twins win game 2, and they've already earned a split.
And at that point, Dan, I got to be honest, I would have been happy. Had they gotten a split and they lost the next 2, I mean, it would be fun to win a 4-game series. 3 out of 4, not bad. But it just got better, Dan. Walk us through game 3.
Yeah, so the Twins win this one 8-6. This was an interesting game from a flow standpoint. So Bailey Ober allowed just a walk and a single through 5 innings. He was looking really good. Most of that, he was pitching with a 6-0 lead because the Twins built that all on a rally in the bottom of the 1st. The first one scored on a wild pitch by Framber Valdez, then an RBI by Jeffers, then Bell, then Wallner, then Lewis brought in 2 with a single. So it was 6-0. Bottom of the 4th, they make it 7-0 on an RBI single by Keishel, which scored Buxton, who actually had 3 runs in this game. He was on base a lot. But Ober then runs into trouble in the 6th. Topa gets out of it, but the Twins then are up 7-2. Bottom of the 6th, the Twins answer with a run by Buxton on a botched double steal play. David, this was weird.
It seemed like they were sort of conceding the run. Like the way that they threw to get Martin between 1st and 2nd made 0 sense because it was like they were just allowing Buxton to score. And I'm like, you get what they're doing, right? Like everybody watching this is seeing exactly what's happening, and you have the Tigers just throwing to each other like, no.
I'll tell you the truth. I'm a little confused by your tactics.
We'll just let Buxton score, no problem.
Yeah, so which was a crucial run, really, in the end of things, because then the Tigers get 4 in the top of the 7th off of Banda, who only gets a couple outs. There goes the ERA prediction that I had for him leading the team. So it's 8-6, but the Twins bullpen does hold on. Funderburk gets the last 2 outs, and at this point, he joins Topa, Larson, and Sands with a save apiece. No Twins with 2 saves at that point here. And then we go on to game 4.
Which we still have to add to the saves list, Dan. So The Twins win 3-1. Mick Abel has a great bounce back start, 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, 3 walks, 6 Ks. And then Garrett Acton in his first action with the Twins. I thought you'd appreciate the
easy
action
pun there.
Acton here. Yeah, no problem.
It's like a pun. It's a play on words.
I do get it.
So anyway, so he has 2 innings pitched, 1 earned run, and 2 Ks. He just got called up from the Marlins AAA team when he got traded to the Twins, and then the
Very
Twins
confusing. I don't know how you could do this in baseball. There was some loophole. But it was either Provis or Atterbury brought it up and then never explained the loophole. I think that he was anyway. So he's on the team. Good for him.
Yeah, he basically had 1 day at AAA for the Twins, and then he was on the major league roster. Anyway, so the Tigers, they do tie it up in the top of the 7th because Acton hits Rogers and then he walks Keith and then towards his sac fly. Tie game. Top of the 8th, though, scary play. Josh Bell lines out to Riley Green, who collides with Parker Meadows, who's then carted off the field. Yeah. Turns out he's still at the hospital. He's being observed for concussion, and they think he did something to his arm also. And so it's weird. If you watch the play in real time, it doesn't look bad. But then if you slow it down, and Dan Gladden actually did a pretty good job on the radio explaining this, you can see that something's not right because the way that Meadows goes down, he does nothing to protect himself from the fall. It seems like he's probably out on his way down to the ground, which is scary. But so thoughts and prayers, obviously, with Meadows here and his family. But then continuing here with the lighthearted baseball news here for the Twins. But Wallner walks, Caratini singles, Clemens Ks, but then Lewis has a swing where he hurts his ankle or he strained something. It's unclear what part of his body was bothering him, but it's sort of hilarious.
I don't believe that man's ever been to medical school.
So anyway, so you're thinking, oh my goodness, he stays in the game, and then he hits an infield single, which is, okay, it's the funniest thing because the ball is hit, and the third baseman tries to tag Matt Wallner going to third base, as opposed to Lewis, who you just saw is injured. He's going to leg out an infield single. He's got 1 foot. He's hopping down the first baseline, and your first instinct was to try and tag Matt Wallner as opposed to throwing out Lewis at first base. It was hilarious, Dan, but now you got the bases loaded. What are you
I knew
for?
exactly what to do, but in a much more real sense, I had no idea what to do. I knew exactly what to do, but in a much more real sense, I had no idea what to do.
It's all part of Royce Lewis's magic, David. He knew exactly what he was doing the moment he kind of tweaks it. I think he was trying to get an extra timeout. He's gaming the system here, David. I am certain of it. No, panic. I was totally panicking when Royce Lewis did that. I thought, oh man, he's done for the year. But he wasn't. He played out the rest of the game, and we heard no update after that.
No, but then Brooks Lee comes through on a full count. He hits an RBI single to right field. So Twins go up 3-1, and then Orzi gets the save, Dan. So he joins Funderburk, Topa, Lawyerson, and Sands on the Twins save list, which the funniest thing about that, Dan, is we never thought for a minute that the Twins were going to have many save opportunities. Not only that, have they had opportunities, Dan, they just throw out whoever they want, and they're just giving them away like it's candy at a parade, Dan.
Well, I feel like the way that you're talking about that is kind of the way that people treat their hydration levels, because there's so many people out there just walking around dehydrated, 75% of them, David. I see it in my students. I see it in my own children, right? The first thing that I say when they feel bad is, well, have you had enough water, right? Well, crew, there is a solution for this, right? It's drip drop. Dehydration makes you irritable. It can give you brain fog. It can give you low energy, especially as it gets hotter here later on in the spring and summer. But we've got a new hydration hero, and it's drip drop. It was invented more than a decade ago by Dr. Dolan during life-saving humanitarian aid missions across the globe. He created drip drop for fast hydration where IVs weren't possible. Drip drop is a next-level breakthrough in hydration. It's backed by 6 decades of science, designed for both speed and taste to deliver the fastest possible hydration. Drip Drop is a secret weapon. More than 90% of professional sports teams use this. The Vikings, the Wild, the Wolves, the Twins. It's also used by the U.S. military, including Army Rangers and Navy SEALs. There's a reason that the best choose Drip Drop. It's a superior product. Simply put, Drip Drop works faster, tastes better. So head to Amazon or dripdrop.com and order some Drip Drop. Mix it with water and experience for yourself the fastest way to hydrate.
Thank goodness, Dan.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to continue winning for the whole season, and it was going to be terrible. But my goodness, the fans came through. They took Josh Bell, 14 points, gave him the bonus. Hoax took Keishel, who had 10. This was actually a really close Puckett's picks here. Hoax had Keishel, who had 10. I had Lewis, who had 9, and you had Buxton, who had 8. And that may be the most positive scores we've seen across the board for like 2 seasons. Like, I'm not joking. Like, this was a really good series for the Twins.
I'm surprised you didn't run the numbers already. Because, I mean, like, we had negative numbers each of the last 3. Again, it speaks to how well the Twins played and how well we picked, David. I think we
yes. Well, I can give a scoring update. It doesn't take long here. Dan's at 3.5, and the listeners are at 1.5, and Hogs and I are still just hoping to get off the starting line, Dan.
Beast versus bench.
Losing fun is losing fun.
Well, since the listeners...
You go.
Sorry, go ahead. Oh, yeah. Well, since the listeners can't take a beast, Dan, and that falls to us, I have to take Josh Bell for them. 7 for 14, 2 walks, 3 RBI. He is looking like quite the pickup in the offseason, Dan, and I'm doing everything I can to not praise the Poe-led organization here. But he's looking like he was a good pickup here, Mr. Thompson.
Well, and did you hear? I think he's like written a book or something like this. They were talking about that on the radio cast. So he's an author.
About his dad?
Yes,
or something?
Apparently. Oh, I'll have to check this out here. Listeners, you can go ahead and check it out too. But good on him. He's a children's book author. You can find, there's a good story on MLB.com about it. So when I was going to pick a beast, it was hard because there were so many players who just had a really good series. But I wanted to look at the starting pitching, and Taj Bradley was great. But I'm with Mick Abel here in Game 4. So Game 4 of this felt like a game where it's like, yeah, if they lose, that was still a successful series. But he went out and when the Twins only had 1 run to give him, he gave him 6 innings, 4 hits, no runs, 3 walks, 6 strikeouts against what we would think is a pretty good Tigers team that's getting a little bit healthier. So I went with Mick Abel, and he's making the Twins look pretty smart for that trade at the deadline. Not totally smart, not every trade, but that trade seems to be looking okay.
Dan, I just wonder, had he had this good a start, but the Twins lost 3 out of 4 here, would we be talking so positively about, like, we seem in a very good mood right now, Dan?
As we should be. Again, no 4-game sweeps last year. I mean, like, to come out this year, anyway, you're 3-6. You think if this is a sweep in the other direction and they're 3-10? I mean, I know that that's a very extreme swing, but all of a sudden I feel pretty optimistic about, I shouldn't say, I feel a little optimistic about this baseball team.
Yes, we'll see how that optimism grows. May 10th, folks. Don't forget, if you haven't listened to the season preview show, go back here, listen to the season preview show. Every year I give my prediction for when we're going to know what this team is. I'm telling you, May 10th, if this team is still at 500, you can start cheering wholeheartedly for the Twins to make a wild card. I think it's totally possible, but we won't know for sure until May 10th.
I'll jump in with my bench here, and it's James Outman. And he didn't play a lot, and he had a great catch in Game 4 that was actually really important. But he was 0 for 6 with 5 strikeouts. For a guy who has apparently the pedigree to be a great Major League Baseball hitter, he has not shown it in his year. Well, it's been less than a year with the Twins, but the half season plus a sixth of a season, less than that. He hasn't shown that.
No, it's so weird, right? Because we're going to be talking about guys for a while now. There are people at AAA who are more than willing to come up and play for the Major League club, who would be much more, if nothing else, even if they had the same results, they'd be more exciting because you don't know what they are. And James Outman is starting to become clear what he is. I know people got excited about the spring training stuff, and he sort of made some swing adjustments. We haven't seen that come through. We'll see. We'll see, Dan. Maybe it'll be different. But I'm going to go with Brooks Lee. I know he had a big hit in Game 4. I know he did. But my goodness, 2 botched bunt attempts. Errors at shortstop, which I was told, he rearranged the weight in his body. His footwork got better. He chased chickens all off season in order to be better at picking balls off the dirt. This was rough, Dan. 3 for 13 on the series with a strikeout. I just don't know, Dan, how much longer we can watch this guy until Kalen Culpepper shows up at Target Field.
Well, that's how long we're going to watch him, right? Because I think it was telling in Game 4 when, I forget who pinch hit for who, but basically there was a situation where the Twins didn't really have a shortstop. And it was very obvious that it was like, they have Tristan Gray and they have Brooks Lee, and that's nobody else who can play short. And they're going to, like, I think by this time last year, I mean, it was Correa, it was Lee, and at least somebody else could play shortstop for this team, couldn't they? I mean, Willie Castro could have. It's still at that point, right? So, to not have a third option at shortstop, I think is a gap in a strategy for a baseball team.
I don't know. Throw Cody Clemens out there.
He played in left, right? I mean, where can't Cody Clemens play?
That's always the question. Yeah. All right, let's keep pushing here.
You ever seen Buck with his pants down? No.
Derek's debrief.
Every time, Dan. I don't know how you laugh this hard every time at this, but
it's so funny. It's so funny.
Yes,
anyway,
it is funny. I'll give you that. It is funny. But okay, so here's my thing here. Thank goodness, Shelton, you got rid of this plan of like, you know what? When there's a righty on the mound, we're going to put Cody Clemens in the leadoff spot because of matchups. I'm just thrilled that he decided to make the right call, which is just put Buxton at the top of the lineup and leave him there, for crying out loud.
It's not that hard, Scott. Tell him, Wash.
It's incredibly hard.
Again, put your best player up to bat the most, right? That's what you do. You give Byron Buxton as many at-bats as possible. I appreciate that too. I'm going to go with another bravo here for managing a bullpen that has no pecking order. Like, maybe there's egos in the bullpen, but like they haven't.
Dan, out of all the things you may find in this bullpen, egos are not ones that you should find in. If there was a seek and find, like if somebody took a picture of all the guys on the bullpen bench, and you know how like the kids' books where it's like, where's Waldo, or we got to find the dog and find this and find that. If there was a list of find 10 items in this picture of the bullpen, you know what wouldn't be there, Dan? Egos. Egos would not be visible, Dan.
Well, I should hope not, because again, 5 different guys have saves. That has to be. ESPN, if you're listening, find that stats, right? You have all kinds of random stats, you know, like the 4th at bat for the 3rd batter in the 2nd year of his first season or whatever. That doesn't make sense. Yeah. But like, there's got to be something out there.
Well, it's so funny because we always talk about ESPN stats. It's when you get to the 3rd parameter, that's when things get out of hand, right? Like you got to be 2 parameters is doable, but as soon as you get to the 3rd parameter where you're like, and the temperature was below 72 degrees Fahrenheit. No, that's no longer relevant. This is just one. How many games in a row can a team use a different guy to get the save? It's pretty impressive.
All right, well, let's look forward here at some positive moments here for sure.
Minnesota moment.
I have to go game 3, top 9. Keishel's catch to end the game, Dan. I think he saved the game. Honestly, I think the Tigers at that point had runners on 1st and 3rd, and it was a 2-run game. That would have made it a 1-run game, and it would have had runners on 1st and 2nd. I think the Twins find a way to lose that game if Keishal doesn't make that catch. And my favorite part about that is as Keishal's making this, it's phenomenal. His reaction speed is just great. But like the guy who hit it here, I got to get the name. Sorry, future Dan, cut that and then add it in here. So Zach McKinstry, he hits this ball and he's thinking that's a single all the way. He's thinking I got a single, and he sees Keishal outreach his hand as far as he can, and he snags that ball. And watch the replay and watch McKinstry's reaction because it's so perfect, Dan. It's because he looks up at the sky and he's just like, why? How is that? How on earth did he make that play?
I have magic hair that glows when I sing.
It's the obvious answer, David. My moment is in game 4, bottom 8. I feel like often we talk about the last games of series because I think the recency bias, but Matt Wallner's excitement for walking in the 8th inning of game 4 when it was tied, I tell you, it portended something good. He seemed to know that inning was going to go well for the team. Nobody was on base yet, and Matt Wallner was super excited for his walk, and it worked out. And then this cool rally that we had in the bottom of the 8th there, and I don't know about you, but I felt like Brooksley was going to come through in that moment. Did you have doubt, or did you? I just thought this was a Brooksley moment. Like that bunt he had against the Rays last year to win the game in extras. Like that's what it felt like here. Like Brooksley was going to have his redemptive moment. And he did, and he was so excited too.
I thought he was going to strike out. When he went down 0-2, I'm like, oh my goodness. Okay, well, this was a fun idea while it lasted.
Anyway, but it turned out to be great. Again, gave the Twins a sweep, and they're 7-6.
All right, let's go hear Mauer's musings, Dan.
I just don't know how it can get any better.
Mauer's musings.
Okay. We have to address the elephant in the room. We're joking about these saves. It's because we're in high spirits, Dan. The Twins just swept a 4-game series. How could we not be excited? The bullpen allowed only 6 runs over these 4 games, 4 of which were Bonda in game 3. But here's my question, Dan. How much longer can they truly keep this going? And I had a listener reach out and say, what if they just keep cycling AAA guys that other teams haven't seen before and just do that all season long here just to keep teams confused? Like, you don't know who's coming out of the bullpen because they've never come out of the bullpen before, Dan.
It's certainly a strategy. I think, shouldn't that work a little bit as you see different, I mean, there's 29 other baseball teams. Like, you would think that they can keep this going longer just with the band that they got. So maybe that's a strategy. So let's see. When do they see a team for the second time here? So it looks like it's going to be with the Rays.
The bullpen will be totally different by the time you see them.
The Rays in late April, right? So there's a chance that maybe by then. I mean, they didn't see Acton, right? So, yeah, I think that's a credit to Shelton. And I think, and LaTroy Hawkins, I think, too, the bullpen coach. Like, I think that they're getting the most out of guys, which was the whole point of the no bullpen strategy. You know, it's like in fantasy football, like the zero running back strategy, like zero RP strategy, I feel like is what the Twins have been trying. And so far, like, we're only a couple weeks into the season, but it's working.
Also, a quick note on Derek Shelton. We should have brought this up in the debrief. But did you see, I think it was the Tuesday night game, where he was wearing those dark glasses, like the Joe Madden glasses? He looked just like Joe Madden. I was like, it took me 3 times that they panned over to him with the camera for me to figure out that was Derek Shelton.
I think it's part of his scheme. I mean, there's worse people to be compared to, right, than Joe Madden.
It's just like the bullpen. They're all out there wearing glasses with the fake mustaches. It doesn't matter. You don't know who they are anyway.
That's perfect. Okay, I have an idea. So this has been inspired by all of the signings, right? And Gleeman wrote about these different signings here that teams have been making of players who are like still in diapers, seemingly, right? Like they give them a big contract and then they just say, we are going to try to maximize. And it's a strategy. It's like the anti-Dodgers strategy, right? Because you pay for guys young. Was it Colton, the Pirates guy? Is it Colton Mitchell? Is that his name? What's his name?
Connor Griffith.
Connor Griffin. Not at all the same name. Sorry. Anyway.
I mean, that's a terrible name.
But anyway, so that signing, there was a Mariners player. There's been guys signed. So the poll ads here, again, they're probably listening to. I want to propose a 7 for $100 million deal here. And this is what you do. The poll ads commit to 7 contracts for 7 years for $100 million for 7 different players, right? And so you're committing, obviously that's a lot of money, but you're trying to lock guys up now. If you got to pick 7 Twins players right now that you could lock up for Buxton, because that's basically Buxton's deal, right? 7 years for $100 million. Who would be the 7 names that you would lock up, thinking that they could realistically actually take that, even if you don't take all 7 in one chunk? But who are the 7 guys? And then think of the marketing that you could have if you had 7 players on 7-year, $100 million deals.
Okay, so a couple of clarifiers here. I assume this means I can't choose Joe Ryan as one of my 7.
Ooh, yeah, because I don't think it's guys who would take that deal.
Okay, so I can't choose Pablo. I can't choose Joe. Okay. Can I choose Taj Bradley?
Yeah. We'll say Taj would take that deal.
Okay. Well, I'm going to have to write this. You kind of put me on the spot here. I did not understand what this segment was. And so I'm glad that
I was trying to keep it to one cell here. So I was trying to be discreet. So like Taj would definitely be a candidate. I would, by my standards.
Okay. So I'm going to take Taj Bradley for sure. I'm going to take Walker Jenkins, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take Luke Keeschel, also, obviously. I'm going to take Kalen Culpepper, no question. I'm going to take Emmanuel Rodriguez, no question. And I'm going to take Gabriel Gonzalez, also, no question. What's that? That's 6?
Gosh, I think that's 6.
The 7th is tricky, Dan. Because, okay, here's the thing. We have some guys who we're not exactly sure what they are. And, like, Austin Martin could be really good in this league. And I just don't know. Royce would probably take this deal right now. I think if you think that Royce Lewis is actually going to be good in the next few years, I think he takes this deal. I don't know that I want to offer him that. That's a very, hesitant to do that. I feel like I should take another pitcher, but I don't know who I'd want to give $100 million to. Maybe Connor Prelip, who he's just struggled so much with injury. That's a lot of money on a high risk guy. Yeah, Festa's hurt, so it's kind of hard to say him. Matthews is still sort of not really sure. Dan, I'm having trouble. The 7th is a very tricky one.
All right, so I'll give you my 7. So I think Taj Bradley and Mick Abel are the 2 pitchers that I would include.
Okay, so yes, that's a fair. I'm still skeptical of Mick Abel because what we haven't really said about this episode the entire time is what if the Tigers just aren't good at baseball? That's a very real concern here. I know we're all riding high here, but I'm very concerned that Mick Abel had a great outing and said, Bailey Ober did pretty well, but what happens if these weren't bounce backs and we just played a team that's so bad it made even Mick Abel and Bailey Ober this year look good, Dan?
That's possible. Well, I'm going to go with it anyway. If I'm doing this marketing scheme, I need a couple starting pitchers, right? So I'm going with Taj and Mick. I'm going with Wally Jenkins, Luke Keeschel, Kalen Culpepper, Royce Lewis, which is the most fascinating one here, actually.
Yeah.
I would take 7 years. Actually, in many ways, I think he's a very similar player right now to Byron Buxton because he's had all these injury concerns. But man, when he's good, he's really good. And I may be cheating here. I would extend Byron Buxton at 7 for $100 over this current stretch. So if I could, how many more years does he have in his contract? Probably 3 more, I think.
No, I think it's through 29. Yeah.
So then I would add the other 4 at the same rate. And that's how I would round mine out. But those would be my 7 for 7 for 100 if I could do that. And there's a seriousness to this in the sense that if this is how you're going to win fans back, then you lock up some of the guys. I don't think they'll actually do this, but I think you lock up a core like this. You say you're invested. I think this is a good plan.
Okay, I figured it out. I think I'm going to go SWR over Mick Abel. WR has the stuff. I think he could be the guy. This was fun, Dan. Good idea. This was good, man.
Thank you. So we'll see. We'll see how many of those guys they actually sign long term.
All right, well, let's go ahead and grade the series here.
Series grades.
I mean, it's an A. I mean, I understand that there's some nitpicking here, and you got to clean up the fielding. But my goodness, it was fun to watch them win baseball games. They only grounded into 3 double plays. They went 16 for 52 with runners in scoring position, which, first of all, kudos for having 52 opportunities.
Yes.
But they still bat 308. Like, that's not crazy. That's not bad, right? Like, I mean, compared to what we've seen before, where they're batting like 150 with runners in scoring position. Again, clean up the defense, but my goodness, you won 4 baseball games in a row against a divisional rival. That's a hard thing to do. This is an A all the way, Dan.
Yeah, so with my top, middle, and bottom, I gave him 10s out of 10s. It was kind of an overall, but nobody really had a bad series, and everybody kind of stepped up in a moment at some point. The starters I gave a 10 out of 10. I did give the bullpen a 7 out of 10 because they certainly made Game 3 very dicey there, which could have been a much more comfortable game. But all in all, that still comes out to 47 out of 100, or 47 out of 50, I'm sorry, which is clearly an A.
Well, Dan, just as the Twins are revolutionizing the way that bullpens are managed, we have a brand new sponsor, and it's a company looking to revolutionize the CBD industry. So CBD often gets grouped together with THC, and that's given this sort of stigma about being druggy or mind-altering. But this is why Cascade CBX Sport invested the time and money to achieve NSF certification for sport. So basically what that means, it means that Cascade CBX Sport is free of over 300 banned substances. So it means that whether you're a weekend warrior or a professional athlete, you can have peace of mind choosing completely clean products to manage pain and reduce inflammation. Check them out at CascadeCBXSport.com and trust the Shield to stay on the field. This was fascinating, Dan. So I was, after I put the kids to bed, if there's West Coast games on, or if there's still baseball games on, I flip them on and I put them on the TV just because it's fun to watch baseball, of course. But I was watching the opposite game here. I think I had the Angels-Braves game, or it was, I forget what game I flipped on. I think it was the Phillies game was going on at the same time. So I was on the Phillies game, and then my feed on Twitter starts blowing up with this Braves Angels clash. So Jorge Soler from the Braves is sorry.
The Angels.
How do I say his name? Soler.
Right?
Soler. Okay, let me say that again here. So here's the situation. So Jorge Soler for the Angels hits a home run off of Ronaldo Lopez. And I guess his stats, John Boy does a breakdown of this. He's batting like insane numbers against him. He has a ton of home runs and stuff. So he hits a home run early in the game. Well, in his next at bat, basically there's this high and tight pitch, and it's a little bit weird because there's this weird time gap because the ball gets past the catcher and the Angels have a runner on first who advances. And so the catcher throws to second and he's safe at second, but then Soler is staring down Lopez, not he didn't leave the box. He was still in the batter's box, looking at Lopez, and
it's like a hard stare, like a Paddington hard stare.
He says to Lopez, "It's not good. Yeah, it's not. If you see some guy staring at you with this look, run away. Unless you're a really good fighter, you need to run away as fast as you can." But so Soler says to Lopez, "You good?" He goes, "You good? You good, man? You good?" And then Lopez, I guess in Spanish, John Boy does this whole translation thing. He says, "I did it on purpose." He's sort of saying it rhetorically, he thinks that he threw high and tight on purpose. But it leads to this benches clearing brawl. And the Angels manager, I think, tackles a play. It's a mess of a thing happening on the field here, Dan. But super interesting video if you watch it. But it's so early in the season to see brawls like that happen. It's kind of fun, though.
But I skip the fights in hockey, David. I don't like the brawls in sports. I don't know. He got 7 games suspension for it, Soler did.
Well, I guess they're both appealing, though.
Well,
so they can keep playing while they're...
As they do. You have another quick note here about a YouTube channel?
Yeah, so MLB releases this new YouTube channel called MLB Clubhouse, and it's just for kids, and it's basically just all the best parts of baseball boiled down. Like, it's basically what baseball is to keep kids entertained, what soccer documentaries on Netflix are to me, where they only show me the goals, like the only interesting parts of. So, kind of cool, though. So if you got kids and you want them to get interested in baseball, the MLB Clubhouse video is really cool on YouTube.
Okay, well, I don't know. We're burying the best story. So baseball announced 8 new City Connect jerseys. The picture was probably with AI, but it's cool because they got the Rangers guy, the Brewers guy, the Padres, the Royals, the Reds, the Orioles, the Pirates, and the Braves all together, like in a dugout, like taking a picture together with these cool new jerseys. First of all, have you seen the new City Connect jerseys for these 8 franchises?
No, now I'm super excited.
Okay.
I'm literally
You should look,
Googling it
because
here.
the first thing that I did, David, was try to go look at their old ones and try to get like a clearance hat, of the old City Connect jerseys and things like that, because now they're going to be obsolete. But as you look at them, I am intrigued by a couple. I'm going to ask you to guess the 2 that I like the best once you can see the picture of them here, David. See how well you know me.
Okay. Oh my. Okay.
Isn't this is the best part, like, of the guessing what the other person's going to think, kind of. It's like a matchmaking game.
Okay. So how many do you like?
I really only like 2 of them.
Okay. I'm going to say you like the Braves.
No, that's not the one that I like, because I don't like the Braves.
Okay. Is this a question of artistic, like,
Well,
what are you talking about then?
All right, so there are 2 that I do. All right, I'll grant you that. How about you're going to get 4 guesses to see if you can get the 2 that I like? And to be fair, yeah, it's not about whether I like the teams or not per se.
Okay. So then I'm going to go Pirates.
No, that's a no too.
My goodness, I'm so bad at this now. Okay. Okay, well, I guess I'm just picking the ones I like. I guess it's this way. Do you like the Brewers?
I do like the Brewers. I don't know what Wisco, like, I understand what Wisco means, but do people from Wisconsin refer to it as Wisco?
I call it Scotty. Like,
Yeah,
anytime
so it's
I'm
like
talking
they
about
missed
something,
the part of the word that I would pick.
Should outreach to the Brewers and be like, I don't think you know your own fan base here. Nobody calls it Wisco.
Okay, but I do like the jersey.
Then
and
is it the
hat,
Reds?
too.
You like the other one?
Nah. I actually like the Baltimore look. I don't know.
Oh my goodness, I was so certain that's one you didn't like, because that one is by far the worst. Maybe the
Really?
hat's okay. Be more on the front.
Apparently, that's what people from Baltimore call themselves. I don't know.
No. There's no way that
Anyway.
people from Baltimore call themselves Be More.
Anyway, I talked to my Padres buddy. I texted him, and I got a very long text back about the San Diego one, which I was very impressed that my friend Bill had so much to say here. But he prefers the previous one. And I guess this is my question to you, like, because this is going to happen, I would think, a few more times here. Like, what's going to happen to all those old, City Connectors? Like the Twins one, which I think is not fading. It's not like aging as well as I think that I liked it at the beginning. I'm wearing my City Connect Twins hat now, but like, I don't know. I'm curious to see how long they can keep this going.
I think it's interesting because there's some logos that, like, when they bring them back, like, remember when they brought the TC back and that was kind of a big deal? And so it's sort of like there's some things that are retro and then you sort of bring them back and there's so much nostalgia for it. It does make that sort of built-in nostalgia more difficult because you're having these jersey transformations happening more frequently.
Right.
So I don't think it's a bad thing, because I do think that having team have a fresher look, I understand why they're doing it. And obviously they want to sell more stuff. Like, let's not pretend like this is any other thing besides them trying to make more money on us. But I do think there is something to be said that, like, if you're going to continually do this, like, every 3 years, I'm just thinking about, like, my kids growing up watching the Twins. Like, for me, like, I remember, like, the Twins, the gray with the stripes is a jersey that I'll always have in my mind, right? Joe Mauer wearing that jersey. Like, I have that stuck in my mind forever. I wonder, my little boy, 20 years from now, hopefully he's still a Twins fan. Or if he's not a Twins fan, just not the Yankees, right? Like, just, or the Dodgers, just not a coast team. Like, if you want to be a Cubs fan, I can deal with, I guess, the Red Sox if I absolutely had to. Anyway, not here nor there.
That's another episode, I think.
But yeah, so 20 years from now, my kid's listening to this back and he's like wearing his Yankee hat. He's going to be like, oh, no, Dad, I'm so sorry. But so, I don't know why his voice is still
You
so
should
high
be,
when he's
son.
20 years. Yeah.
Can't root for the Yankees.
Anyway, what was I saying? Okay, so I just think, like, if I've taken him to, let's say, 30 games in his life, which I'll probably take him to much more than that.
I would hope
But,
so.
like, is he going to have a connection to those jerseys the way that I do? Because they have so many different ones. Like, the Twin Cities jerseys, like, we love those with the cream and the blue lettering. Like, I hope that those stick around. But, yeah, now it's like, We're getting pretty crazy here, Dan, how many different jerseys the Twins can wear.
How can you not be romantic about baseball?
Just talking about bringing your son to the game, David. We got to move forward here to the next series.
And we'll see you tomorrow night. Puckett's Picks.
Well, the listeners are going to stick with Bell, and you absolutely cannot fault them for doing that. And then it goes to you, Dan.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with Byron Buxton here. I just think he looks better at the plate. I'm still waiting for that big slam, that big game, but he got on base a lot in game 4.
Yeah, totally reasonable here. And then I'm going to take Caratini, and that leaves Hogues, who's going to take Austin Martin, surprisingly. I thought Royce Lewis, but I do think there's a little bit of an injury scare happening.
He's picked Keyshaw every
here.
series so far. I don't know why he went away from him.
And this is the best Keyshaw has looked, so that was actually shocking to me that he went with Martin, but we'll see what happens here.
Well, folks, if you like what you hear, please tell a friend, share a link. You can follow us on X at Men for the Win. You can find our Men for the Win Facebook and Instagram pages. Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast on your favorite platforms so you're notified when new episodes are available. And if you could leave us a rating or a like, we'd greatly appreciate it. If you'd like to support the show further, you can find us on Patreon. The link is in the description. Thank you for listening, and as always, go Twins.
That'll wrap up another episode of Men for the Win, a podcast hosted by David Kufis and Dan Thompson, with special guest appearances from Andrew Hogues Hoganson. 3 avid fans who appreciate well-played baseball, especially when it's done by the Minnesota Twins. Thanks so much for listening, and as always, go Twins!